Hey everyone, and welcome to Television from the Multiverse, the DC TV podcast from MailFuzz TV. I am Peter, and joining me as always is Connor.
I am still here.
And this is episode 58, which is the same week as episode 57, because Elseworlds went so damn long that it became its own episode.
Yeah, this is 57 part 2.
No, it's not. It's
slash
58.
part 3 if you're in the audio.
It's 58. It's episode 58. And yes, so we'll be talking about Black Lightning, we'll be talking about Titans, and we'll be talking about Legends of Tomorrow, which we're also on and over the last week, of course. And this will be those, and a couple of footnotes for Elseworlds that I've thought of since we recorded the Elseworlds discussion.
Yeah, this is the bad part about coming back to it, because there's every time we record pretty much anything, later on or the next day, I'll be like, I should have mentioned that, and it's just too late. I'm like, whatever, it doesn't matter. But now you're coming back the day after. It's like, any excuse. This
is a second chance to bring up things. Yeah, so, yeah, and honestly, I feel like, I mean, that's the thing, it depends, because last year we did 2 parts for the crossover, but it was just the crossover last year. There was nothing else on the same week. We maybe should have predicted that it should have probably just been 2 separate, because had we made the choice to give Elseworlds its own episode, I'd have put the news in this half, for a start.
Yeah,
because it'd fit better here, and then we probably could have gone out a day earlier. We probably could have recorded it. Sorry,
I couldn't watch the third part till yesterday.
Okay,
anyway.
Fine, but I mean, some weeks we could have done potentially.
Some weeks we could have done, but not this week.
You know, so had we made that choice in the first place, we would have tackled it maybe slightly differently. But hey ho, so we'll have to think about that next year when Crisis comes a knocking. But then again, if it ends up being like 5 single episodes, like night after night,
we're doing it every day.
It might be, yeah. But what if there's like the one? Because there'll be like one universe show on as well, probably, right?
Screw it. It can just get thrown in at the end.
We'll have like an episode of Stargirl or something on top of the 5
that
CW
can have its
shows.
own episode that week.
What?
It can just get its own. You can join the club.
Any news in Stargirl on its own little pocket on its own.
And maybe Black Lightning.
If that doesn't get included in the crossover, yeah.
I'm expecting it not to.
Sure. So there'll be 2 things plus news on its own little edition.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then it'll just be nightly Crisis.
Hell yeah.
Crisis through infinite episodes. So, yeah. So we're going to talk about Titans, Legends, and Black Lightning in that order. But first of all, we've had another night to think about Elseworlds.
Oh, I thought we were doing Elseworlds after. Okay.
No, just because we'll just wrap this up before we go into the other stuff. 3 things I thought of that I wanted to mention.
Oh, 3.
3 things. More might come up as we talk about it, but 3 things I wanted to mention. 1, I really like the fist pump between Supergirl and Flash when they come back from running around at the end. They're just kind of out of breath and they're like, "Hey, fist pump." Yeah. And then one thing I wanted to mention is apparently, and again, I don't really care. I was having too much fun to give a shit, but apparently the cure for fear toxin, the scarecrow fear toxin, is just to get hit really hard and then it's fine.
And it was instantaneously gone.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought that was weird.
Yeah, I thought that was worth mentioning. And then the third thing, I've forgotten now.
Oh, for God's sake.
There was a
you
third
come into
thing,
this
though.
with 3 things. Just 3.
There was a third thing. There was definitely a third. It was a critique. There was definitely a critique of something that didn't add up with how something ended, or that's going to bug me now. I'm going to think about this tomorrow.
You had 3 things to remember. That's it. It's not a big list.
Shut up.
Yesterday we went through about.
What have you got? Did you have like 10 things?
No, but I didn't say I had 3 things. If you just said, I've got a couple of things, I could have smoothed over this and I wouldn't have brought it up.
Wait,
but no.
Do you think I wouldn't have stopped and said, I had another thing, but I've forgotten it now? And I wouldn't have been annoyed at myself equally. No. That would have happened regardless of how many I said I had in the start. So shut up.
Yeah, well, screw you.
What are your amendments?
Oh, haven't I? I had a blast.
You don't have anything to add.
I was too tired to think of anything else.
It was just a couple of little things I was like, I remember the third thing. Arguably the most interesting observation. I guess it's kind of a critique.
This is the one you forgot.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of a critique, but I'm not really mad at it. But so during the first episode when Oliver's the Flash and he's chasing around Amazo to bring him back for the final punch or whatever, he runs him into a unfinished building. It's like just the beams, right?
Yeah.
That was the same beams that they fought in last crossover.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, they've done this because they had the CG model sitting on the computer and they thought, we'll just use that again. Because I actually, when they ran into that, I went, wait, have they still not finished this building? It looks the exact same. What the hell?
I mean, having seen many a construction project in my local area, I believe this.
Okay. It felt weird to, like, 1 year later to go back to the same,
I noticed that as well. But like I said, construction shit.
Like I say, it doesn't bother me, but it was like I noticed it and thought to myself, this whole year, and maybe they've just finished cleaning up the mess of what they made last crossover, and now they've gotten back to square one, and then Amazo comes in and freezes it all.
It's fine. They'll make a joke about it in Crisis.
Sure. We'll finally see that building get complete next year. That'll be the thing. It'll pop into existence, and it'll be like, I don't know, the Flash Museum.
No, what you'll do is you'll have them make a mess again, and you'll just have like a janitor there being like, I just finished cleaning this.
Well, one janitor's cleaning all the ice, which I assume would melt during summer at least. I mean, ice is not a bad thing for it to be covered in.
No.
That'll naturally get taken care of.
Probably flood some shit, though.
Yeah, it may cause some other problems because of the water, but, that's what it is. All their beams are all rusty.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. So, yeah. Elseworlds was really good. Just pointing that out one more time before we move on.
Yeah, we loved it.
Elseworlds was fantastic. So, the other shows have a lot to live up to this week, and some might kind of live up to them. Some might be solid, although not reaching those heights, and some might be one of the worst episodes of the show.
Laughably bad, you might say.
So that does lead us on neatly to Titans, Season 1, Episode 9. It's called Hank and Dawn, and it is entirely a flashback episode about how Hank and Dawn met and their backstories, respectively. And, it's all framed through the idea that Hank is kind of dreaming about some of it, and then Dawn's dreaming about the rest of it, which is really conceited, to be honest.
Yeah.
In and of itself. And they're kind of dreaming it because throughout the episode, every so often, Rachel appears in a reflection trying to, like, contact them, telepathically.
Yeah, if that's not there, it's like, yeah, fine, whatever. It's just, they're asleep and we're seeing this.
Yes.
I mean, she's in a coma, but whatever.
Yeah, no, I'd be fine. Just be like, that's just like, okay, this is just in the context of him sitting there waiting for her to wake up. We get the touching backstory of how they met. That's a fine reason to do the flashback.
Sure.
But Raven showing up inside the flashbacks confirms that no, they're actually thinking in some level about this.
Yeah.
Either that or there was straight up time travel projection happening. One of the two.
It's not out of the realm possibility.
Yeah. So you were hard on this episode before you ever saw it because you kept being really mad about the placement of it because you thought it was in a weird place. And while I shared the concerns that it might feel that way, until I saw it, I didn't want to like throw it under the bus because it might, no pun intended, because it might, link into whatever's going on, get into the next episode, or be super relevant in some way.
But
unfortunately, it was mostly a giant waste of time, and
yeah, let's throw it under the bus.
So here's the thing: the entire episode kind of revolves around how they meet and the backstories. Obviously, there's a dark part of Hank's backstory, a really sensitive subject, which I mean.
I'm just going to put this out there.
Mm-hmm.
The acting on pretty much most people involved in this episode is not up to the standard to do any of the heavy side of the plot lines in this episode.
Yeah, because I mean, the plot is dealing with pedophilia, and the acting isn't really there to give it the gravitas that it should have. But somehow it's not even that stuff that comes off feeling the worst. Because the death of Don, as in Hank's brother Don, not Don.
Yes, Don.
Right. The death of him
comics,
and Don's mother, and that's Don, her mother. Right.
Yes.
Him
and her.
They actually just randomly meet each other on the street, and then there's a bit of chemistry, and then out of nowhere there's a car crash, and the car
horrible
comes
CG car
flying into. Well, that's the thing. It goes to this aerial view of the car swerving into them, and it looks atrocious. And it takes a scene which, while out of nowhere a little bit, which is a critique on its own. It doesn't matter though. It looks so bad that all I can think about is how bad it looked. And it made it very unintentionally funny. I was laughing during this scene.
It was as well. Like Dawn, some of her stuff is dealing with an abusive father, or maybe not father. Perhaps I'm not entirely sure. It was a bit unclear, or at least a father figure.
Yeah, I think it was father. I mean, we only get that through dialogue though. It's just when she's talking to her mum.
No, we do, but I thought even that conversation, the acting on both sides was not great.
Well, let's look at the other side of that table, because it's Marina Sirtis, who you may know as Deanna Troi from Star Trek: The Next Generation, which was a reasonably successful television show.
Yes.
Well, I'm not going to call it a hit television show. Come on now. There's only one. There's only one hit television show,
and you can't say it yet.
Yes, I can.
No, you got a reference coming up still.
What do you think the specific reference is going to be?
Oh, there's one.
Is there? Well,
yeah.
Something I've not thought of.
I can see one. I can visualize it in my mind.
Yeah, but if I can't see it, I'm not going to use it when we get there.
Well, I'll use it and be like, how did you not use this? But either way.
Yes.
She's not great, is she?
I mean,
that's when she's watching the ballet and overreacting.
Oh,
and like going,
yeah, that was a really funny scene.
Amazing, bravo!
That was a really funny scene. Actually, her just gasping at the ballet.
It's like, what are you doing?
I mean, I'll give it credit. Some of it was funny bad, but for the most part, it was the dullest episode of the season.
Yeah, it was.
Because there's stuff in the last. To be honest, there's been stuff maybe episode like 3 onwards. There's been stuff in most of them that I've enjoyed.
Yeah.
Some stuff that I've not enjoyed, but there's been stuff in a lot of them that I've enjoyed. This one, the only things I get any kind of amusement out of were things that were so bad that they were kind of funny. My favourite thing might be that when Dawn wakes up at the end, and she crawls over out of the hospital bed to a sleeping Hank, and wakes him up, and the first thing she says is, "We have to find Jason Todd." The idea that that's the first thing someone is thinking after they wake up from a coma is hilarious to me.
Yeah, it is. And let's not forget the bar brawl in the library. Was it a library?
Yeah, it was a library. It was in the university. Yeah, Hank and his brother start like
out of nowhere. It's a full-on bar brawl
because they're arguing with each other, and then someone like basically tells them to shut up, and then the fighting kind of kicks off.
And then Hank just punches him in the face,
and they get kicked out, which they're both kind of happy about. And this is where they get into this idea of being vigilantes called Hawk and Dove, and they have like their prototype suits and stuff. And they're going after sex offenders, and then we get the flashbacks to kind of explain why specifically that's their target, and it's because of this coach that they had when they were very young.
Yeah.
And we get this really, I mean, this is not about the quality. I mean, we'll talk about the quality as well, but it's an awful scene just in terms of the, what's happening, and it's awful, right? It's an awful story of Hank basically, like, the coach wants his brother to stay back and go into the weight room, and it's quite clear what he means by this. That is,
and Hank's like, okay, I know what's going on here.
Yeah, and Hank offers to stay back and go into the weight room with him instead, and let his brother go home. So he kind of, he sacrifices himself to save his brother here, and it's a really dark subject. It's a really dark topic, and this to me is kind of coming back. One of the big problems we had back at the start of this show that we've constantly said is that it wants to be dark and edgy, but doesn't know how to actually be dark and edgy in a mature way. And I feel like this is and well, I've not had that problem as much in the last few episodes because it's kind of just settled into just being what it is.
Being schlocky.
Yeah, I think because I don't mind dark and schlocky because I think that's kind of what it's become for the most part, and I'm okay with that.
I can have fun with that.
This though was them trying to be dark and mature, and I think failing miserably.
Yeah, it baffles me that this was written by Jeff Johns. This episode.
Yeah,
and he's the only writer credited.
Yeah.
What?
It's trying really hard to be edgy and be like, hey, we're talking about, you know, someone who was sexually abused as a child. Like, that makes us mature. And I'm like, I'm not like, it's not that they should be avoiding topics like that. If they want to do a topic like that's fine.
But it needs to handle it better.
Yeah, it needs to handle it with some weight. I think, you know, the acting needs to be better to sell it. The writing needs to be better to like present it with some nuance. Yeah, nuance and tact. Those are good words to, because it doesn't feel like it really has that, and it left me feeling a bit uncomfortable with the portrayal of it, because it feels like, because it's one of those things where you get these like cheesy flashbacks in a TV show or whatever to set up the backstory of a character and something happened to them as a child, and they may not be that great, you know, like Dicks, right? They might be kind of rough and the acting's bad and whatever, but ultimately it's just a couple of bad scenes and you just kind of let it go. It's not a big deal. When they try to do this, it just feels really insensitive.
It does, and you said, oh, it makes you feel uncomfortable, and that's not a compliment, because obviously something like this, when it's done right, probably should make you feel uncomfortable.
But it makes you feel uncomfortable. This makes me feel uncomfortable in the same way that when you watch an old movie that has like a really homophobic scene in it, and you're like, oh, this is making me uncomfortable. Like, it has that type of uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And, so...
This episode is really bad. I mean... I think we laughed when they're like, oh, hey, you know, we can find all these sex offenders. They're all registered. And Hank's like, well, what are they all doing in our neighborhood?
Yeah, that was actually a really dark but funny line.
Yeah.
I think that was intentional. That was meant to be funny.
I think that was.
Yeah, so I'll give them credit for that line.
We need to find Jason Todd was not supposed to be so funny.
That was not supposed to be funny, but we think Jason Todd's a terrible character, so that made us laugh.
Most people think Jason Todd's a terrible character.
I don't know. I think it's like 50-50, man. Have you seen... Jason has a big fan...
The public voted to kill him, therefore most.
It was a fairly narrow vote, and that was like 25 years ago. Yeah, Times have changed. There's a whole generation of people who have grown up with Red Hood.
Yeah, well.
And they like Red Hood.
What they mean is they like the Punisher.
But they're at least sensible enough to not want to read Marvel, so they're reading Jason Todd instead.
The next best thing.
No, the next best thing's a cheese grater in your ball sack. Anyway, so...
I'm not going to dispute that. As someone who has read far too much Red Hood, I can confirm.
Oh dear. So this is the weird thing about talking about this episode. I'm flip-flopping from stuff that I'm laughing at because it's so bad, but then it tackles the paedophilia, and it's like, I don't want to joke about that because it's not funny. Like, it's not even close to being funny.
Exactly. It's awful. But the problem is they present it in almost a laughably bad way.
Yeah, it's obviously. I mean, don't get me wrong; they're playing it straight as they should be playing it straight. You don't make light of that subject.
Oh no, they're not doing that. They're not being disrespectful intentionally.
No. They're being disrespectful. No, disrespectful is not the right word because they're not being disrespectful. They're just not achieving the quality that is needed, that is necessary to make it work.
Yeah,
but they're not being disrespectful intentionally. They're not like.
No, they're not trying to make light of it.
Yeah.
No, I think. I mean, you could maybe say they're kind of trying to get easy points by using it.
It reminds me of like in action movies where like the character's motivation will be that they were raped. Like that's what it reminds me of, and it feels like it's just this nonchalant thing. It's like, oh, just do a scene where the character's raped, and then that's their motivation for killing all the bad guys later, and. More often, and there's a reason why that's criticised, is because it's like you're using that as a cheap plot device rather than treating it as a serious thing that's actually affecting. And it's not to say that you can do a seriously good rape revenge movie. They can exist, but
I'm sure some of them are very good.
Yeah, 99.9% of them though, it's just cheap schlock, and it feels insensitive to use that for that purpose. This feels like it's in that kind of genre of.
It's not quite as bad as some of those things that you're thinking of, but. It's definitely not anywhere near good.
No, it feels far too hammy for what it should be. And obviously we should talk about how this, because obviously it eventually opens up to Dawn, because they kind of start seeing each other after, you know, their brother and mum respectively die, and they're at like a support group, and he stops going, she goes and tracks him down, and they end up bonding, and she stays the night, but he tells her the story of what happened, and it doesn't outright say the whole thing, but he says enough that she gets the gist of it.
Yeah.
And she goes and tracks down this guy, the coach, and tries to like tell him to turn himself in. And then Hank shows up, and they basically beat the everlasting piss out of him.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they kill him or not.
Yeah, they don't show us if they do or not. It just kind of.
But the coach knows who they are.
Yeah, but
they're not hiding identities at this point.
Yeah, but can he turn them in, or can he charge them?
I mean, he can say these guys came to my house, broke in, and beat me up.
Yeah, but if he accuses them, then Hank will just say why.
Yeah, no, they could do that, but at the same time, he could gamble, right, and go, well, it's his word against mine.
Well, he could do it. It's a bluff, though, right? Like
it is, yeah.
But this is the thing, though, that if he's done that with Hank, he's probably done it with others, and it might lead to other people speaking up. But
almost certainly, yeah.
Yeah, but they don't show us them killing him. I don't really care if they did. I mean, Hawk and Dove in this show are so far gone that I'm not even.
I mean, let's be honest. Hawk's always a bit of a murderous bastard.
Oh sure, yeah, that's fair. But I'm not really fussed either way.
The thing is, Dove is supposed to balance him out a little bit.
She's supposed to.
And not go, yeah, let's go kill this dude.
And instead, she shuts the door and stays as an act of no, I'm with you. And not only that, they have sex for the first time after this because killing or maiming the dude put her in the mood.
Least, yeah.
Yeah. So they've shared this intense bond over this. He's opened up about something that he's never
gonna get along fantastically with Jason Todd.
Yeah, he's never opened up about this to anyone, but he's opened it up to her, and they've shared this experience, and it binds them. And it's a relatively raunchy scene, where to the point where I actually think that because she gets completely nude in this scene, you don't see any of the specific areas. To the point where I'm convinced that she was naked in the scene, and then they added shadows digitally to.
I think they did, yeah.
To cover up the
on both sides.
The areas on both sides, yeah, because he gets naked too.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, okay, this is definitely because obviously the violence and the swearing have been more than what you'd get in the CW, but this was the first time the sexual content I felt was like, even covering up the naughty bits, it still felt like. This is
definitely a significant step above what you get on network TV.
Yeah, it's a way more erotic than you expect.
Yeah.
Which is neither a complaint nor a
oddly
compliment.
Maybe the most tactfully dealt with element of the episode.
It was because it had enough intimacy, and kind of the way it was shot was kind of not romantic. It had that kind of vulnerability, they're becoming vulnerable in front of each other. It had that feeling to it. So bizarrely, it's probably the best directed scene and written scene of the episode.
I think it is, yeah.
So credit where credit's due, but
it doesn't. This scene, it's a context aside of why are they doing this now?
Yeah,
it doesn't actually feel cheap to watch.
It doesn't. It actually feels oddly kind of beautiful for what it is. So credit for that.
Yeah.
Pulled off that scene.
Hey, it was more than I was expecting at that point of the episode.
Yeah. So Don wakes up and he's like, we need to find Jason Todd. No. And the fact that I'm actually invested in the main story now. I wanted to see what happens with Starfire and Raven from the end of the last cliffhanger.
Do you agree that this was a horrible place for this episode to just derail the season at this point?
Well, if it was good, I wouldn't have a problem with it. My problem with it is that it just shouldn't exist because it's bad.
No, I think even if it's good, why are we taking a break from the plot now to do this flashback, which is frankly irrelevant? I don't think their character motivations to have this level of flashback, more so than pretty much any other character we've had, matters. I don't think it's needed. I think we have a bit where Raven reaches out for them, they come and help next episode with Jason Todd, whatever. That's it. That's all you need. We don't need to see their entire backstory.
You don't know that.
I'm fairly confident.
You don't know that, and I have seen many an episode that takes a break out from the main plot to focus on a character, or in this case, a pair of characters. I am not going to look down upon the idea in and of itself. I don't have a problem with it.
I think it was the wrong characters to focus on. Even stories, I don't think these pair are deserving of needing this much time spent on an entire episode.
Once you've seen the whole show, you can say that with confidence. You can say that within the context of the entire thing.
Remind me in what, 2 or 3 weeks?
Yeah, I'm just saying the concept in and of itself is not a problem. It is just the fact that it's bad and doesn't work. Because if this was really good, if we really cared about these two characters and we had this episode and we were watching like these flashbacks and we see Raven reaching out to them, we might really care about the idea of them getting contacted. We might care about the fact that something might break through, whilst at the same time getting like just a solid character study about the one or two characters in this case. It can work. I have no problem with the concept in general.
Mm.
So I feel like sometimes you like to just put in blanket rules for things.
No, I think for me with these characters, taking a break for these characters, I don't think there was anything they can do in this episode. Even if it's a good episode, and it was in a good story, I don't understand the purpose of it in the season, frankly.
Well, I'd say you've not seen the whole season, though.
I don't feel like I need to. I don't feel like there's anything they can do in the last 2 episodes that make me go, that's why we needed that whole episode.
Well, no, given what it is, I agree, but there could totally be something like if this was a written completely different episode, right?
Well, then we wouldn't be having this conversation. They'd be like,
but I'm saying it's still flashbacks, or it's still focused just on them. It could be completely written differently, and then it could be relevant to what happens in the next 2 episodes.
I think if it's a flashback for their origin for the entire thing, I don't think it can be.
I totally can be. I think that's an absurd absolute to just throw out there.
Well, we shall see.
I'm not defending this episode. I'm not defending that they put it here. I'm just defending the broad statement of that this should never have been considered. That's all I'm arguing. That is all I'm arguing here.
All right, but I stand by it anyway.
Well, let's move on then to Legends of Tomorrow, which is Season 4, Episode 8. It's called Legends of To-Meow-Meow. Sorry, To-Meow-Meow.
To-Meow-Meow.
To-Meow-Meow. Saying meow twice feels weird to me.
I don't know. You say like tomorrow, so like To-Meow-Meow. Like in the same rhythm.
Yeah, but I've never, whenever I say meow...
You're saying To-Meow-Meow. Like, it's just To-Meow-Meow. Like you would say tomorrow.
Sure. It's not natural, though. This is a made-up thing.
It is, but I don't know. I feel like it rolls off the tongue pretty easily.
Meow is a singular thing. You say meow once. You don't say meow, meow. It's weird.
You're overthinking it.
As someone who tries to communicate with these cats on a regular basis, this is unnatural. Alright, so we had the cliffhanger at the end of the last episode where time has been rewritten. It did, I think it incorrectly made me think that time is frozen for a lot of people, when really it was just kind of freezing the moment where everything's rewritten.
Yeah, I agree.
Because when this started and it was like things have changed, I was like, oh, okay, fair enough, but I thought things were frozen, but okay.
Yeah, I guess that was just freezing for impact of, okay, no, everything freezes here and then changes and it will continue from the change.
I think what's interesting about this, though, it reminds me of like sometimes in comic books where there'll be an event going on and you'll have some books that don't actually want to cross over into it, but they do like a tie-in issue where thematically something similar is going on. And I feel like that's kind of the case here, where we're kind of getting alternate Elseworlds of what could happen in Legends in this episode, in a way that only Legends knows how. and
let's be honest, best episode of the season.
It is the best episode of the season. It was a phenomenal episode.
I'm sorry, Unicorn. You majestic, beautiful creature. You have been dethroned.
Unicorn. What was the other one that I really liked? That I thought was high up. It was something in the middle-ish of what we've had so far. I can't remember.
The camp, maybe. I don't know.
That wasn't the camp.
Maybe
the kaiju one.
Kaiju one was really good.
Kaiju one. Anyway, but so basically, Zari's a cat. In fact, first and foremost, the performance of this cat was off off the charts.
I should have known. I should have known you'd start with this.
I want to praise the Wrangler for getting this performance, because the cat was very naturally kind of reacting to what they were saying as if it was Zari, like being annoyed at them. And obviously, I'm sure they did 100 takes of the cat doing various things before
just cutting it in.
Yeah,
yeah.
But like, it still worked really well because there was times where it would just, because as someone who does have a few cats, right, I'm very used to like what the annoyed cat sound is and what the happy cat sound is, what the screw you, you asshole, I'm hungry, feed me now, like. Sure. The upset cat. Like, I know what the various sounds sound like, and it was very like accurate to, okay, that makes sense. That's exactly how Zari would feel given that comment.
Yeah.
And so on. It did a good job of that. And the best moment, I mean, I like the backpack with the little cat bubble, but
do you know what is really weird?
Yeah.
I saw one of them. Someone on Twitter maybe bought one, and I saw this for the first time like a week ago, and I was like, this is a weird thing that exists. And then here we go on Legends. It's like, fine, weird.
Hey, it's more elegant than the actual usual cat box that most people have.
It is. It's one of those things, though, that I'd never seen it ever, and then twice in a week. It's so weird.
But but my favorite thing was when she's like, oh, how do we find Constantine? And the cat just starts like tapping on the controls and like sets a course, and I was like, yes.
Yeah.
So that was gold. So reality has changed, and basically the gist of this episode is that Charlie thinks she's in the clear, and she's going to send Zari Cat's going to go back to the Legends. They'll deal with her, and she's free and clear. And she ends up going to the 50s, and she meets a leprechaun buddy. And then the Legends show up, kind of. I know it's technically the title that I should be using, but I'll save that for a second. And they brutally murder the leprechaun, and Charlie wants to fix things because whatever's happened has changed the Legends into murderous bastards where they're killing every magical creature possible. They're just shoot on sight kind of attitude.
Yeah.
And she wants to fix that, and she ends up meeting with Constantine, obviously with Zari's cat's help, and it becomes okay, we want to fix things. Oh, so this killed Sarah. In that case, we'll go back and stop the unicorn, and that'll fix everything. They keep trying to fix everything after them going back to New Orleans,
except Constantine's thing.
So it's about them eventually accepting they have to go back and change that and reset
it's funny
that.
Because last week going into this, I said I felt like this was going to be for Charlie what the time loop one was,
and it was
for Zari, and it is, but it's also for Constantine as well.
Yeah, it's kind of for both of them. And I think it's effective in that, and I think it's notable that Zari's episode, like that last year, was also maybe the best episode of the season. I think it's notable that 2 years in a row, that's kind of...
I mean, and also the kind of looping aspect is not too dissimilar here.
To an extent, yeah. It's a different kind of loop,
the trial and error.
Yeah, it's a different kind of loop, but yeah, there is that kind of... Structurally, it's very similar because of that.
Yeah, like even has that montage in the middle of, let's just go through a bunch.
Yeah. So the first sort of version of reality we're in is the custodians of chronology.
Yeah.
Or actually, it's custodians of the chronology, if I'm accurate. And we get like a cheesy 80s vector graphics style TV intro, and it's like Ray Palmer as after like brutally murders a demon.
And he's kind of a Rambo-esque.
Yeah, he's got like a Rambo sort of the headband on and stuff.
Yeah, the way he's like running around with the gun.
The bit that broke me during this little intro was Mick and Gamera, whatever her name is, the alien fake girlfriend. When they kill an alien and he turns to the camera and like does the eyebrows,
and then they start making out.
Yeah, that's gold. And then Nate, of course, and we see Gideon's got a human form, kind of in just the hologram style on the ship. But then the second reality, after they fix this, they go back and shoot the unicorn. And of course, this one is the longest because it sets everything up, and we meet like depressed Ava, who's got dark hair and all that other stuff. And actually,
fantastic.
I have to talk about when Charlie turns into Gary and runs into the real Gary, and says, "Oh, I'm you from the future," and he's really excited about this. And that was funny on its own. But then towards the end of the scene, he actually says to Charlie, who's looking like him, he says, "Oh, but beware, me from the future. There's rumors of a shapeshifter going around."
And she's just like, "I know." He's like, "What?"
Because I'm you from the future.
And he's like, oh, God bless Gary.
It cracked me up. So they shoot the unicorn with a dropship. Much easier than how they dealt with it in the first episode, might I add.
Whatever, I don't care.
Yeah, cartoon rules, it's fine. But they come back, everything seems like it might be okay, but then we get introduced to the second version of this, because this time, because there's like a memorial like plaque, for the first time it's for
the
Sarah,
memorial wall, yeah.
because she's dead. The second time when they come back, it's for the custodians. This is for Ray, Mick, and Nate, and then we meet this version of the team, which is the Sirens of Spacetime, and it's a Charlie's Angels knockoff with Sarah, Ava, and Gideon, who's taken human form. In fact, my favorite part of all this is because it comes up with the cheesy TV intro again, but this time it's the funky music, and they're doing like spin kicks and all that, and whipping their hair around. They do the Charlie's Angel pose. So it says for Ava that she's playing Roundhouse, and then it goes to Gideon, and it says Gideon as hard drive, and I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah. and you've got Hank there as the boss.
Yeah, he's the Charlie.
Yeah.
Or not Charlie. I've never seen Charlie's Angels, but Charlie's the guy on the comms. The guy who's there talking to them's.
Yeah. I want to give him a letter like in Bond, but I don't think that's how it is.
Nah, I seen the movie that came out in like 2002 or whatever it was, but when it came out though.
That was 2002. Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
But it was even the way they walk in the room and they all say "Hi, Hank" in like unison.
Yeah, they kind of like all drape over the chairs of the desk.
Like really cheesy, hilarious. But then it turns out that they also want to kill everything on sight. So Charlie's like, shit, I've not fixed this. And it was funny because the second time it's the fairy godmother who kills the guys, and they go back to try and fix that. Which they do by impersonating the fairy godmother and getting the kid to relinquish her power because she tries to make her eat broccoli. Genius. But so they go back and do this, and I was actually already kind of clocking that one of the main reasons why this wasn't working is because Constantine was meant to be here to fix all these things with his magic, and he wasn't. Yeah. So this was proving that Constantine needs to join the team, therefore time has to be intact. And of course, by the end of the episode, it also becomes a case of, no, their first encounter with Charlie was the encounter that said, hey, maybe we should try and give some of these demons the benefit of the doubt. All these magical beings aren't necessarily criminals or evil.
Yeah.
Some of them are worth saving or imprisoning. Yeah. And what I like about that, it kind of goes back to the idea that she said, because they kind of introduced the idea that she was kind of the consciousness of the team, and the conscience of the team. You know what I meant? Yes. The conscience of the team. And it didn't make a lot of sense at the time, because like, no, you're not. You're a shapeshifter who's swearing a lot. Like, how are you the conscience of the team? But now it's kind of become that, kind of naturally.
I feel I buy it.
They've kind of justified it. So that's kind of nice.
Also, Mick with the fairy godmother.
Yes, because the third version, of course, when they come back, is Puppets of Tomorrow, and
complete with the song,
with the singing. Yes, and it turns out it's because Mick had the book and called them all puppets of the Time Bureau. So his new partner in crime, in the Captain Cold goggles and jacket with the gun, is the fairy godmother, who he's in slow motion fist pumps, and
it's so good.
Yes, it's very, very, yeah, it's a whole thing. Hilarious. So, now the episode is a blast, and the actual, like, because, I mean, we don't even mention the fact that, Constantine turns Zari back into a human, and Zari's like, she comes up with a furball, and she's like, because of you dicks, I have been a cat for so long. And then Constantine just turns into a cat again when she tries to stop them from, from fixing things their way. But then eventually Constantine realizes first that they can't just do it. Charlie's against it, but then Charlie realizes why it's not been working and ultimately agrees. So Des and Constantine eventually kiss after Constantine's fixed things and wiped his memory.
And just before they all get shot, because Sarah tells the others to just take the shot and kill him anyway.
Yes. And then time rewrites, and we come back to Sarah fly kicking the puppet.
Yeah, I forgot that's where we left it almost. When I'm there, I was like, oh yeah. That.
Honestly, my only critique is that the subplot about Ava and Mick kind of hating each other feels like it got fixed and wrapped up really quickly and easily.
She's just like, I read your book. It's kind of sexist and it's cliche and it's, all these things. but it's really enjoyable.
And he's like, yeah, I liked your sugar cookie thing. And it's like, okay, cool.
All done.
Yeah, that was it. I felt a bit quick. But, it was like Sarah kind of like, hey, Constantine, we've got your back. You're part of a team now. We're going to help you fight this Neuron. We're there for you. Just deal with it. Charlie's a full-fledged member of the team. So they feel all bonded and united. And then we get the final little cliffhanger that the demon is taking the form of Dez and is the boss of Hank because they're golfing together.
Yeah.
So that's our mid-season cliffhanger, and we don't get it back till April now. So
those bastards.
Hey, they left us with the best episode of the season so far.
This is like top 5 of the show.
It's up there. Yeah.
I can pretty confidently say like this. The Big Bebo episode.
Yeah, Time Loop episode last season.
Time Loop episode. Those are all contenders for the top handful.
Yeah. No. Super fun, super delightful. And the thing that separates Legends is that it does those cheesy TV intros. And hell, we didn't even mention the joke about the crossover.
Yeah, it's like, oh hey, you've got missed calls from
Cara, Barry, and Oliver. It's like, nah, it must be the annual crossover. Let's pass. We'll pass on that. And I think Nate even has a line where he says like, I wonder if they'll swap outfits this year.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, so it's so jovial and fun, but
do you know what's so funny is like Elseworlds was so meta, right?
Yeah,
and it was like, whoa, they're being really meta. Legends drops this, and I'm like, yeah, Legends gonna Legends.
This is just normal for Legends, but not only was this as fun as normal in terms of the hijinks and the silliness and the fake TV intros and all that,
which is above and beyond, right?
Yeah, like. Not only was it as fun as normal for all that stuff, it also had the better character stories. It had actual arcs where it felt like, no, Charlie feels like she belongs on the team now. And it was kind of similar to Zari's episode last year, but the end of it was like, no, she belongs here now. She's part of the team.
It's kind of crazy to me that Zari only had, this episode, a season's worth ago?
Yeah.
And now she's like, she's a proper integral part of the team. She's the one convincing them. It's like, hey, come on, do it properly.
Yeah, she's policing them. It actually makes sense that she's the one trying to like teach them.
It was, but like a year ago, this was her.
So no, it's good. It's effective. It's growth. It
is, and it's natural, and it works. And I don't question. I'm not going, hey, why is she the one doing this? I'm going, of course she is.
Yeah, for all its cartooning, no, it's good. So yeah, the whole Mona thing didn't really go anywhere this episode. They mentioned that it escaped, but
yeah, we won't get back to it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I did really like when Constantine, when they were escaping and they run into her with Zara's a cat again. She's like, "How much did you hear?" She's like, "Nothing." It's like, yeah, well, if you're gonna turn, I don't want to turn to cat, but if you do, make me like Fluffy or whatever. Eddie's like, no, I didn't turn her into a cat. Turn her back into a cat. It's much easier. And Mona's just there going, get it over and done with. Go on.
Yes. So
delightful.
Legends was great. It was great. It was the best of the season. Nothing but fun.
I love this show.
Finish, so, yeah. The only thing really missing was Nora. Nora wasn't on this episode.
Yeah. I'm gonna be really sad when the show ends.
All right. Well, we'll move on to the final show of the week, which was Black Lightning. This is season 2, episode 9. It's called The Book of Rebellion, chapter 2, The Gift of the Magi. So there you go. Yeah. So obviously we had Khalil and Jennifer on the run. They got away from the house from before, and this episode is he's getting sick. When he got slashed last episode, it was a poison blade. And at first she thinks she might just be infected, but then it kind of becomes clear as the episode goes on. So it's about Jefferson and Nyssa trying to find her and try to look into where she might be. Meanwhile, Jennifer tries to steal some medication for him, thinking it's an infection, so she tries to get antibiotics and things like that. But the assassin cutters on their tail. So, yes. So, were you equally as down in this episode because of what the plot's doing right now?
No, I like this one a lot more than the last. Mainly because we actually focused on the rest of the family for the most part.
Yeah.
I wasn't really as into the Jennifer and Khalil scenes. Don't get me wrong. They were the weakest part of the episode for me, but there was a lot less of them this week.
I agree to a point. I think but I think Jennifer on her own, like her little like trip into the hospital and all that stuff. And her scene with Cutter, where she kind of goes dark and like cuts her with her own poison blade so that she'll tell her where the antidote is. I was like, damn, that was pretty extreme. Yeah. So, and she starts torturing her with her lighting, and she's like zapping her.
Yeah. No, that stuff was all pretty good.
Doing the zappies.
The best stuff was definitely like Jefferson in the van. It's like they're just trying to fly off and find her before they lose track of her again, and Gambi literally grabbing him and holding him down.
Yeah, I thought it was going to deck Gambi.
I did too. I was genuinely worried.
I was really waiting for it, and for Anissa having to break it up. But they're getting frustrated. They're trying to find her, and honestly, Joe, low key is like kind of gradually stealing the show a little bit right now. Is Lynn's breakdown?
Okay.
Because Lynn, like, start episode, she's still in a bad place from last time. She's still kind of distraught, but she wants to try and figure things out. So she gets proactive, and she goes to Khalil's mum, and to try and figure out if she can, suss out where they might go. And it leads her to his father, who got out of prison recently. And she goes to see him, but she goes to the bunker first. I say bunker, the tailor shop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bunker's Arrow's name, but
yeah. Well, I mean, they've got a basement.
It counts. And Gambi actually comes on the screen because he knows, because he's got security. He knows when someone's there, and he's like, "Oh, it's a Sherilyn. That's fine. Do you need help with anything? What are you looking for?" And they track down where this guy is.
Yeah, and she's like, I'm not going to stop.
Yeah,
so I'm as determined as the rest of the family.
Yeah. In fact, she even has a joke. Well, it's not really a joke, but she says, like, yeah, you're going to tell me I'm as stubborn as everyone else. And because I was thinking, sounds like Nissa. Sounds exactly like Nissa. But she hangs up, and then she goes into the weapon room, and she picks up a shotgun. And it's notable because I think it was a shotgun specifically that she used at the end of season 1, when she shot that guy at the end.
It might well have been. I can't remember that well enough.
And she puts it under her coat, and it reminded me so much of Terminator, Kyle Reese with the long coat, hiding the shotgun.
I can see it.
And I was like, man, Lynn's becoming a badass. What's happening?
Yeah.
And it turns out that nothing dangerous happens when she goes to speak to the dad. He's honest and open about what he knows, and just kind of leaves it there. But she's back in, because it's when she breaks down at the end, when Jefferson and Nissa do get to the barn or whatever it is they were hiding in whilst they were looking for the antidote, and they're already gone. But Lynn's like, because they know an assassin's after them, right? So there's actually a concern in this episode that she might be dead. Like, if they don't get to her in time, she might get killed. And she's like, are you telling me we don't know if my daughter's alive? She says that to Jefferson, and he's like, yeah, I'm saying I don't know. We really don't know. I'm still looking. And she just breaks down crying. And I thought, you know what? The acting here is really making this work. Like, I'm really into this breakdown that she's having, because it feels very genuine. Like, she should be distraught that what's happening to her daughter's this extreme.
Yeah, it's a pretty reasonable reaction.
And I will say this, I did like that Khalil actually suggested, hey, maybe you should just go back home. maybe I should just be on my own.
Yeah. Seems like a good option, right?
Yeah, but nah, she's like, nah, together forever.
Yeah.
We in love.
Ugh.
Thanks.
So what's kind of tedious about that side of it?
Yeah.
Is that, come next episode when it's, part 3 of this book.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's the end of this little arc. I'm sure. Yeah, okay, we're back. She's back with the family, right?
I'm sure she will be. I wonder though if I see one of two things kind of happen. Either Khalil's going to die, right?
I can see that. Kind of hope that.
Or they become more accepting of him as like someone who's not actually that evil, and Jefferson, like, he becomes an ally. He becomes someone that they can confide in and trust or whatever. And it becomes this like clash, kind of where it's not something that like Jennifer tries to put them together and like make them be friends, but it like circumstances result in them working together, and it kind of creates this alliance of sorts. And, we'll see where it goes from there. But I can see that kind of happening. But
I can see it going that way.
Yeah.
Is he a recurring or a regular? Do we know?
He get bumped up to regular for this season, so he's probably still here till the end of the season. But
yeah, probably.
I can see him having a tragic death though. I'm expecting her to be back with the family though, because they did reveal her outfit, as we spoke about in the news in the last episode.
Yes.
Her lightning outfit, which I assume she gets from Gambi.
That would make sense. I can't see it coming from anywhere else. It looks too much like the others stylistically to be from anywhere else.
Actually, do you know what little line of dialogue or little joke that I liked? Is she comes back with the some antibiotics and some syringes, and then she's like trying to like set it up, to get the antibiotics into the syringe. She's like, "Hey, you wouldn't happen to have like a secret heroin addiction that we don't know about, so you know how to do this?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Sorry, no." And I like that because it's something that most people don't actually know how to do properly, is to use a syringe.
Yeah.
Because most people don't have a reason for it.
Only if you've ever had to use one.
Yeah, if you're diabetic, some diabetics need to use syringes and things like that. I'm sure there's other conditions that require it, but most people, unless you're a trained nurse or whatever, like don't find themselves in a position where they're doing that.
Yeah.
So I like that she commented on the fact that she doesn't actually know what she's doing.
It's one of those things that I mean, do you know how to use them?
No, I mean I'm sure I could give it a go, but
no. It's one of those things that there's like a trick to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And once you know it, it's really easy. Like once you get it down, you can do it every time without fail. But the first few times where you're trying to get it, it's like it's awkward.
Wait, you hate syringes. Why do you know this?
Because I did work experience at a vet's once, so I had to do it there.
All right, what's the trick?
It's just the way you load it, and the way you pull it, and the way you have to let a little bit of air in and stuff like that first.
All right, but what about you want air in it? Isn't that bad?
No, you got to have air in it first to let it out, and then pull it back in. It's a whole thing, yeah.
I thought you didn't want air in with the liquid, though.
No, you don't. Yeah, you have to have air in it to push it out and then take the liquid in. It's got to be like it's this weird system that you do it in.
Oh, okay. What about the actual injecting, though? Do you have to actually like find a vein, or does it depend on what you're injecting?
Depends on what you're doing, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So, is there some things you can just like stab anywhere and just go for?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, okay.
Like a lot of vaccines, it's just in your arm, right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it's just
okay. It's just into the muscle and tissue, and it'll spread.
Okay. There you go. Given the fact that you've got such a fear of needles, this is kind of weird that you know so much about this.
Yeah.
But all right, well, there you go. Yeah. No, I mean, I dug. I dug the emotion of them hunting down Jen and getting frustrated that they couldn't find her from everyone involved. I liked it. It felt really focused as an episode. It didn't, and we had the one subplot with Tobias, but it was very separate. It was its own little thing that it's setting up.
Yeah, I liked it though.
Yeah, no, it was fine. Yeah.
Tobias being out in the public and being the patron of the people.
Yeah, he's kind of, it was basically doing a repeat of how he interacted with Khalil, but in a different way because he's out in the public now.
Yeah.
But it kind of worked that it's a repeat because we know this is what he does to people that he wants to use, and also because we've seen him do it to Khalil, so we know what the dangers are for this person, so we kind of hope that he turns it down. And what's funny is he actually does it first. He wants to just leave this. He said, "No, this is too weird. I'm going to turn this down." It's not until Tobias just flat out hands him $100,000 that he's like, I can't turn that down.
I'm with him. I think you hand me $100,000.
It's pretty convincing. Because as he puts it, that $100,000 is just for meeting him this night.
Yeah.
Like that's not payment for anything in the future. That's just that is for your time this evening.
Yeah.
Which we should mention, it's R.J. Cyler, who was the Blue Power Ranger, and he was also in Me and Earl and the Dying Girl, which was a really good movie.
And he is a fantastic actor.
He's really good, yeah. I'm almost. I guess Power Rangers wasn't big enough that he can turn down CW shows.
Yeah.
But yeah,
kind of a shame for him.
It is a shame, but
it's a victory for us.
But he's good, and he's a bit of neurotic. He doesn't like to be touched, and he's very because at first he's like that with the security guard, but then he's even with that, because Tobias is like,
yeah, because when he's like, don't touch me, and you're like, oh, okay, I get that. It doesn't feel out of, a lot of people would probably be like that, right?
Yeah, but he's even with that with the ladies that Tobias is.
Yeah, he's just like, no, I don't like to be touched. It's like, okay, that wasn't just because it was the security guards.
Yeah, he's interested so far. I'll be curious to see what what's going to become of this relationship, what Tobias wants him for specifically. Yeah, I agree. So
I will say, as a critique, not necessarily of the episode, but it's almost the placement, that this is the mid-season finale. I think it feels a bit weird to end kind of in the middle when we're splitting it up into these smaller arcs anyway. It feels weird to end in the middle of one.
Yeah, I feel like what they probably did is because I think this arc and the last arc have been very good at feeling like an arc, right, and feeling like there are this contained specific part of the story. I feel like they decided what their arcs were and what worked best for the story, regardless of what the schedule was, rather than here's the schedule, we have to make it fit these 9.
I feel like because it's only one more part to this, I believe.
Yes, so
I feel like just misjudged it a week. Could we not have squeezed in one earlier? You know,
is it ready though? Would they have had time to have it ready?
No, it's a fair point.
Because keep in mind, I mean, that gives them what, an extra 6-7 weeks to finish it.
It does. I'd say it just feels like
would it have made more sense
speaking,
then to end 2 episodes ago? You know, before this arc.
I'd say I think so, but
that'd have been early. That'd have been pretty early.
It would have been early, and the problem is then it delays us getting Legends back, and I don't want that.
So you know,
it's just relatively speaking, it's unsatisfying as a episode to go into a break on, even though it's a very good episode.
Yes, it's a very good episode, and it's also, at least I'm glad this is the one that's coming back first because of this, though, because it isn't the longer...
is it coming back first? Oh, Legends. Sorry,
yeah, between this and Legends.
I thought you meant it was coming back before the other.
Because if this had been waiting until April for the next part of this chapter,
yeah, I'd have forgotten everything about this.
That'd have been a weird break, but so this makes more sense. And in Legends, if it's doing more crazy stuff, they've got more time to do their effects.
Legends has the fantastic ability that you can just kind of pick up and play at any episode.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
I mean, this was a really good episode as a mid-season, right?
Yeah,
but you can kind of just jump in wherever with Legends, and I won't feel like, I'm missing loads of plot. I'm forgetting all these things. What's
funny though is I do actually think that this episode, despite the fact that it's the part 2 of a 3-part arc, I think the like Len and the family being worried that Jennifer's dead, and we've seen them riding off into not into the sunset, sorry, the night, but you know what I mean, is a reasonable sort of mid-season sort of end point in terms of just like the overall story. We've not mentioned the final scene yet, of course, because we get introduced to a new villain at the end, but because we get this new teleporter at the end, who is straight up just like teleporting behind people with guns and shooting them, point blank in the back.
Why not?
Which makes him kind of vicious. He doesn't seem like a super angry dude though. He feels like kind of slick, but he's definitely dirty in how he does things.
Yeah,
I'm thinking kind of like who do I compare him to? I wonder if it's a character from the comics. I don't know if it is.
I'm not sure. Did we get a name?
I don't think we heard a name. No.
Okay. There's probably been a name in interviews and press releases and stuff, but I don't remember.
Was it this dude here? Doesn't have a character name next to him. It was. The actor's,
if you just Google his name.
Yeah, his name is Tozen, and then that last name. So I apologize for this if I butcher this, but Moro Hunfola.
Okay, just copy and paste that into Google and see if a news article comes up.
That's what I'm doing.
Because praise Google. It knows everything. It's the best.
I'll add Black Lightning.
Did it not come up with anything?
Oh, actually, it copied in C rank as well. It did that thing where it took another part of the page with
it. I hate when it does that.
Oh dear. He was also on the Shy apparently, which I've not seen. But
yeah, me either. So it doesn't really help. But what are you gonna do?
Right, I'm looking. This is shocking. Like I'm not getting. I've put his name plus Black Lightning, and there's no articles on the first page.
Have you clicked on the news tab?
I'll do that. Usually you get them, the recent ones at the top.
You do usually get a couple of recent ones at the top, but if not, I just click on the news tab and...
Nope. Still nothing.
Really?
I wonder if they've kept this quiet for a reason, like if they wanted to make it a surprise.
Maybe they have, because that's weird.
Yeah, I've typed in his name plus Black Lightning, and none of the results on the first page of either just the general or the news have Black Lightning articles specifically.
Okay, that's weird.
At least not in the headlines.
Yeah, but you'd think it'd be in the headlines, X person cast in Black Lightning as.
If they mention Black Lightning in the articles, that's not the main point of the article. It's not the headline's not so and so's been cast. Interesting.
That's strange.
Yeah, so he's kind of nightcrawlery and the powers. Not in looks, obviously, just a normal looking dude, but.
Yeah, I'm with you.
There you go. Black Lightning was on a week where Elseworlds was obviously going to win everything. Legends had its best episode of the season, and I thought Black Lightning had one of its most solid episodes.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I don't think Black Lightning was as good as Legends.
That's fair. I would agree with that this week. I think Legends had a standout this week.
Yeah, this week Legends was like any other week. Any other week, that's taken episode of the week.
There's very few weeks I can think of where that Legends wouldn't win episode of the week. Of course, outside of this one, because Elseworlds. And we're not going to pick one episode of Elseworlds, because that's weird.
Yeah, if I had to boil it down to an individual episode, it kind of comes down to... Because Legends has a whole thing, right? If you've got to break it down to the individual Elseworlds, the first one's probably the funniest, maybe. It's
the funniest, but the third one has the best emotional and story.
It does, beats. But it's also maybe the messiest.
Yeah, that's why it's hard to split them up and say, if you take it as a whole, you get this hilarious, emotional ride of everything. Yeah,
as one whole, Elseworlds is the best. I think if I had to choose an individual episode, though, out of them, I'd end up coming down on Legends.
I don't know. It's close.
It is close.
It's close. We had a very good week of CW DC shows.
This might be the best week that the CW's ever had.
Yeah, in terms of everything like firing at the once. And then Titans, if Titans had a better episode this week, that'd have been great. But hey, I'll take the week episode there if that's the price for it.
1 out of 6.
The rest are firing on all cylinders. So I will happily take it. So no, it was a hell of a good week.
So it was.
So much so that we ended up having to have 2 episodes because Elseworld was too big to fit in this show.
Yeah, if we'd done the whole thing, this would be over 3.5 hours long.
Yes. And the audio version would be split in 3.
Yeah.
So, but no, so as it is, you get an extra episode that's about an hour or so of just the other shows, which is cool. So it is worth mentioning, of course, we have off-season content for the next few weeks. We are taking 1 week off. It's the week after Titans is done because Young Justice doesn't start for it. So there's a week between those 2 shows.
Yeah, I think it's the week between Christmas and New Year's, maybe.
We're going to take that week off. But other than that, we're going to have off-season content. We mentioned in the last episode, but the winner of the votes were the 90s Flash and Gotham. So we'll have an episode of each of those. We'll have an episode of Batman the Animated Series. And of course, we'll still have Titans for the next couple of weeks. And then we'll have Young Justice afterwards.
I'm really looking forward to Young Justice.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it too. I think we're doing 2 Batmans for the first few weeks, but once Young Justice comes in, we'll be just going to 1 because Young Justice has like 3 a week because they're bastards. They're crazy bastards.
They are. They're burning through it.
They're burning through it. Yeah.
Is conflicting because on one side, if typically when a network or a cable service burns through episodes, I'm concerned. I'm like, oh, hang on.
This could just be the precedent for what all their animated shows are going to do, though.
It could be, and also it makes me confident that the next show is ready because they've only got 1 at a time. And I'm like, hang on, if you're willing to burn, because it's like they could space these out and get extra time out of it if they needed to, but they've gone no, we're good. Have 3 a week.
Yeah, 3 a week. Because I was expecting 2 a week, but 3 a week is actually it's actually 4 the first week, and then 3 a week after that.
4 the first week.
I'm pretty sure it is, yeah.
Okay, there might not be a Batman that week.
I'm sure it's 4 the first week, and then
damn.
Not 5 threes, 4 threes. Yeah, 12 plus 4 is 16.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, but that is the second half the same amount, though? Can't be 32.
I don't know. Justice.
Oh no, maybe it's 3 threes. Maybe it's just 4 weeks. Yeah, that sounds right. A 4 and then 3 threes.
Yeah, there's 26.
Yeah, that's 13 episodes. That's right. It's 4 and 3 threes.
4 and 3 threes. Okay.
Yeah. There you go. So what was the Buffy reference I was supposed to make that I didn't apparently?
Oh, it was in the Sirens of Spacetime opening, and I think it's Gideon staking some vampires.
Ah, okay.
I'm like, there's literally staking vampires.
Come on, no. I was wanting to make references about Dawn being the key to everything.
Yeah.
Because Dawn's the key, and she is the sister of the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
By the way, I'm looking at this. It looks like 4 episodes is the last week of the season rather than the first.
Oh, is it the last week?
Yeah, it says here the first 13 episodes will air throughout January, with 3 episodes being released every Friday except January 25th, where 4 episodes will be released.
Oh, it's okay. It's the last week then. Fair enough.
Yeah.
It's the same difference, but...
which is typically when all the CW shows are back.
Yeah, that may be the 1 week that overlaps with the CW. Not 4 of them.
Those bastards. Inconsiderate assholes.
On the upside, there'll be 1 less of those because 2 of them are sharing a slot now, so that's an upside.
Yeah.
So 2 of them replace Titans and 2 of them replace the other CW show, so it works out to be the same as
and we'll
right
just
now.
throw in Krypton again in a couple of months.
Aye, but that's, Summer's good for that.
Summer would be lovely for that.
Because then we'd have Krypton plus whatever the DC Universe has got at the time, and we'll have 2 new shows every week, no matter what.
Yeah, it's going to be Krypton and Swamp Thing.
I think so, yeah.
By that point.
What a combo. It'll be Krypton, Swamp Thing, a Gotham, a Flash, 90s, and a Batman animated series. That'll be the summer, assuming Krypton's on in the summer.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Is a reasonable assumption.
That's a not bad... it's actually kind of nice that even the off-season episodes still have at least 1 new thing now. That's a nice little gift.
There's something new every week, except, it seems like they're going to take a week off between shows, like we are between Titans and Young Justice. That might be a thing consistently.
It may be. Next time it won't matter, though, because next time the other shows will be on, probably.
Yeah, if it happens during the off-season, depending on what's going on, that might be a week off from the show, just have 1 week off here or there. But
yeah, just so we can catch up on all the stuff. But yeah. That is the show. That is episode 58. So thank you very much for sticking around. Let us know what you thought of the episodes in the comments, all the usual stuff. Like and subscribe, because YouTube really likes all that for pimping the show out and recommendations and that sort of thing. Of course, you can support us even more so if you go over to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV and support us over there financially for as little as $1 per month, and you can feel warm and fuzzy on the inside. But you can do that. You can also get us on Twitter at DC Comics Podcast, and that is it. So yeah, there you go. We'll see you next week. We'll see you next week with some off-season content plus Titans. Titans episode 10, which means the one after that's the finale. And I already saw.
There was a trailer thing, wasn't there?
I never saw. It may have been from the trailer, but I saw an image
featuring a certain character.
Yes, which I won't spoil.
Yes, that's from the trailer.
That's from the trailer.
From the the trailer for that week's episode, Yeah.
So curious.
Yes, I'm sure people have probably already seen it, but just in case you haven't, it's interesting.
Yes. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching superhero TV shows, guys, and always remember that sometimes we screw things up for the better.